Alrighty, so what is going on, guys? It is your boy here, of course, the combat consultant, the soundboard god. After a long lay off, Cooperman, idiots, stupid, get your shit together, pal. Anyways, I'm back off of a long layoff, and we have to talk about McGregor's next steps in the UFC. Of course, he's fighting Iron Michael Chandler. I just watched the entirety of the McGregor Forever doc. I want to give my thoughts on that and how I think we'll see him come back into the UFC and how he'll fare in this upcoming fight. Now, I want to start with the documentary because I thought it was a very interesting watch. Some of the things I really liked about it was that it felt unique to McGregor. It's not quite like a sports doc I've seen before. It had some of the staples, right? Of course, when you do a documentary about combat sports, you're gonna have the staples in there, the stories, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, but it did seem to have this kind of twinge of a very unique aspect to it that I think reflected the unique personality that Conor McGregor has as an athlete. And it shows, more than anything else, this documentary showed me why everyone fell in love with McGregor in the first place. He seems like a really, really good dad. The limited stuff they showed us from his home life, he seems to be a really good dude there. It seems like he works hard, right? You see over the course of the documentary, because each episode is covering a different fight. So the first one was the Khabib fight, the second one was the Cerrone fight, and then the last two were both Poirier 2 and 3, and you see how much he puts into it, just kind of the psyche of McGregor. And that's where I think that the documentary gets its unique twist from, because when you're covering a guy like that you can't really find anywhere else, you can't replicate a guy like McGregor. Of course, if it has his influence on it and it's covering his life, it's going to be true to him, just in the same way that The Last Dance was true to Jordan. So I really enjoyed that part of the doc. I did feel like we could have probably seen a little bit more of Conor's backstory, his personal life. Like, me as an MMA fan, as a guy that's watched the lead up to all these fights, a lot of it was kind of soil that had already been covered. I would have liked to see a little, more of a glimpse into his home life, into his psyche, because those for me were the best parts of the documentary. You see the way that Conor kind of adjusts to things, reacts to things. Again, how he is around his kids, around his wife. They talk about it and they show it briefly, but I don't know, me as a guy that's seen all of this already, I would have wanted to see a little bit more individuality. But I think for a fan that really hasn't kept up with MMA or Conor McGregor's career, this documentary probably hits it out of the park, dude. Obviously, super opportune time with the Chandler fight coming up, right? The release time of this was not at all an accident. These guys know what they're doing, and it honestly got me hyped up. That's why I wanted to make this video, right? Because, and I guess we'll get into the second half of this video now. What is McGregor going to look like? Because one of the other things that I noticed from the documentary is that with each of these fights, and I'm talking about the Khabib fight up through the third Poirier fight, we see the same selling point for McGregor. It's that this is going to be the grand comeback. He's going to go on a roll. And what have we seen him talking about in the lead up to this fight? Exactly that. There are certainly small variations to the way we see him build up some of his fights. For instance, the second Poirier fight, he was a lot more respectful than the third. With the Cerrone fight, he's respectful. The Khabib fight, so it almost kind of rubber bands. But I think the documentary was made in a kind of way where we as the fans, as the viewers, could take it a certain way that we wanted to. We could take away from it what we wanted. And what I took away from it is the question again, like what are we going to see out of McGregor this time around? He's up a weight class. Historically, when he goes up in weight classes, he's had mixed success. I understand he's a 2-division champion, but it seems like the higher up he goes, guys can withstand his power a little bit more. Now, he has been competitive, but what I'm saying is a guy like Michael Chandler, who can take shots, who's been in absolute wars, who has wrestling if he decides to use it and doesn't turn Braden dead in the second round like he usually does, is he going to be able to withstand the shots from a McGregor? I like to think that I'm an optimist by trade, but something about the lead up to this fight, seeing the recent interview with Megan O'Leary, seeing the documentary, gives me a bad feeling in my stomach about the McGregor we're going to see. To me, this is a dangerous fight for Conor. In the same way that it's a dangerous fight for Chandler. Both these guys competing at 170, it doesn't make a ton of sense for me. It kind of seems like a drunken hookup that you have on a Saturday night. On the night of, it's going to be very, very fun to watch, right? The next morning, you're going to probably be sitting there and wondering, why did I go through with that? Why? Like, what was the point of that? This holds no long-term purpose. And that's what I'm really curious about. Does McGregor stay at 170? Does this fight really have the implications to make it as important as I think the UFC wants it to be? I understand it's a tough finale fight, and that's all fine and dandy, but also it seems like with both these guys being much more natural and native to 155, Conor to 145, are they really going to be competing at 170, especially when Chandler is right on the cusp of being a title contender, if not a gatekeeper for that 155 division? And again, with McGregor, we know the higher up in weight he goes, the more guys are able to withstand his shots. I don't know, something about this just smells fishy to me, man. And sure, yeah, he's great at selling fights, right? I love when he told Chandler, "You'll do what you're told." Like, that was really cool. I just absolutely butchered that impression. And that was really awesome to see. But when it comes down to fight time, is McGregor going to be able to back it up? And I don't know. I want to do more of a stylistic breakdown. We could do a tactical breakdown, I should say, about this on the channel in a little bit as the fight gets closer. But strictly speaking, for the UFC, for McGregor, for Chandler, this fight is an absolute money fest. And I'm not sure you could justify it in any other way than that. It's weird because after watching this doc, I'm actually a much bigger fan of McGregor. It does seem like sometimes he's just blowing smoke up people's asses, kind of a used car salesman when it comes to what he says he's going to do at this point. There was a time where he was Mystic Mac. He was predicting all types of different knockouts, ending shots, but now we see that coat of paint kind of wearing off. And I wonder, and I don't want to be one of these guys, if McGregor is not only past his prime physically, but rather mentally. Does he have that same aspect to him where, and I'm not even going to sit here and say he's not hungry, because I genuinely think he likes to compete, but does he have that same aspect to where he can will things into existence? You know, sometimes you just don't have it, and perhaps the McGregor we're seeing is beyond explanation. There is no natural explanation for why he's been so wishy-washy recently. I really do hope Conor pulls it off. The UFC, like the NBA when the Knicks come back, is always a better place when Mystic Mac is in the fold and a part of the organization. So I'm wishing Conor all the best. I don't really know if this fight makes a whole ton of sense logistically. I would have been more comfortable with him maybe getting someone top 15, right? Someone on the bottom cusp of title contention, like a past 10 spot type of matchup just for a tune-up, and see what he can do there. But with a win over Michael Chandler at welterweight, can you really justify him coming back into the lightweight rankings in a big way? No, I don't believe you can. But if you disagree, please do let me know in the comment section below. That has been the video for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It has been your boy, the Combat Consultant, the Soundboard God, Jacob Cooperman. I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.